Okay, we're at the film festival, still interviewing three very, 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 very cool women who just had a film about human zoos. So we're gonna work from this way around to everybody, and we have Wanda Webb,
hello,
which is the director. Then we have Sabrina Gray, producer. Then we have Dr. Deidre, but they Badajo.
Yes.
Sorry,
That's okay.
actress in the film. I apologize, Dr. Deidre Badajo.
hello.
All right. Okay. So first off, let's say this. How are you guys enjoying the festival?
The festival is fantastic. Several excellent, intelligent films have been shown, and educate as well as elevate. So I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, it's good work, and I was just telling someone, where can I see these again? And where can I see more films like this? And so I don't know what the festival directors are. I don't know what their future plans are, but I'd like to see it get out to the films that they've chosen, basically curated the event. And I'd love for more people to be able to be exposed to this work at the Baltimore International Black Film Festival 2015.
I couldn't come yesterday because I have another engagement, but I sent a couple of friends of mine who said that the films were really extraordinary yesterday. I talked about how much they enjoyed it. I think it's important for a city like Baltimore to have this event here because this, and especially in this area that we're sitting in, which is really an artistic community, and the level and the quality of films that are part of this festival certainly meet that standard and exceed it, in fact, in this area as an artistic community.
So let's talk about the film that you just was just shown that you guys are a part of. It's based on human zoos. Well, first, let's get this straight. So human zoos are totally different than sideshows, right? Like with circuses and things like that. This was about humans being in zoos, like animals, cages and yards and everything like that. So tell us about it.
Just as people have paid to come see films at a film festival, people in the late 18th and early 19th centuries paid to come see human beings of different nationalities. They didn't have television back in the day. So at first, human zoos were just a matter of exhibition of what they call human curiosities. So people from bearded people, Native Americans, Alaskans, Asians, Africans were all brought to huge exhibition areas like the World Fair, and they recreated their living quarters on that land physically. So you may have, with the Africans, they would make the huts. So with the Asians, they had, carvings and engravings, whatever represented where they came from. And so the Africans would put on, they would have reenact colonial wars. They would shoot with a bow and arrow. They would demonstrate that they could swim. Many times they had to walk around naked, and carrying monkeys was not unheard of. And the Africans were actually described in some publications as monkeys. So yes, human zoos were a place where over 1 billion people paid in the course of human zoos to see people at different places like the World Fair.
That's crazy. That is crazy. That's all. That's wow.
And even to the point where doing some of our research, we found out that Adolf Hitler, denounced the human zoo.
What? Okay, so all right, we're talking about World War II, Adolf Hitler, biggest mass murderer in known human history, denounced the human zoo.
Not only that, he even said, now this is just with research that I found on the internet. He said that he actually kind of got the idea of human zoos from slavery and other things that happened historically. So he just kind of put it all together and came up with a mad scientist, evil thing. But yeah, that's where he got some of his ideas from.
All right, so he like approved. Okay, so with that, how long did they last for? Like when they last until this century, till the 1900s, or what century did it end in? I mean, sorry, I'm getting confused. It just shocked me. And I admit, it shocked me right there with that because I never heard of human zoos before, and it just like got me a little thought. But so when did it end? Like around what year did it end?
Well, I can let Bree speak to that, but from the research, October 19th, 1958 was the last time that people, they were paid, that it was a legal thing, right? I mean, things may be happening today, but you're not going to hear someone say, oh, come see the human zoo, unless it's an exhibit or something of that nature. But then has been printed as the last known human zoo in 1958. Bree, did you have something else?
What I think Ramonda's speaking to is there have been implied human zoos into the 21st century. There have been activists, protesters, if you will, that have put a halt to similar events occurring in the 20th and 21st century. Quick example, not specific, but a quick example is when you have a tourist bus go through a village. Doesn't matter what the village is or what the country is, but you have a tourist bus go through a village and the tourists want to see the villagers in their native habitat. And the villagers are put on display, but the tourists don't get off the bus and interact with the villagers, exchange culture with the villagers. So there's an opportunity for cultural exchange, but when you're on this side of the fence and you're looking not from a perspective of, I want to know more about you, I want to know what we have in common and what's different, but you're just looking through the lens of, this is curious, this is odd.
Sexuality.
And it's totally not like an anthropological observation. This is like a total safari.
Pretty much. So the question is, have they stopped?
Yeah, it's also anthropological though, because the idea, especially if you look at one side of the fence, the idea is that, this represents an underdeveloped side of humanity. And it also gives a false sense of security and superiority to people who are looking in at the lady who gives an apple says, well, maybe she's not going to eat an apple, she'll eat the flowers instead, and it becomes a big joke. So there's a way in which it gives some people permission to dehumanize and slight others because they can say anthropologically, we have evolved from this into something very different. It is part of a very painful history. This particular image that Monda captures in the story is one of several where I think in Q&A they were discussing how various people were displayed even after their death. And that was because they were not seen as human. They were seen as objects. And we know about that kind of objectification that occurs in so many different environments to so many different people from childhood into adulthood as well.
So, other than Germany, did they have human zoos in the United States? Around where did they have those?
There was a human zoo 1904 at the World's Fair in St. Louis. And after that, the renowned pygmy Atabenga was featured at the Bronx Zoo in 1906, and he carried around a chimpanzee, and they put above the, they put him in the monkey cage, and they put the missing link over it. And he did that for a while, and then some black preachers got really upset about it and petitioned to get him out of the zoo. And he ended up going to an asylum for orphans in Virginia, and he shot himself in the heart a couple of years later.
That's deep.
1906,
1906.
Bronx Zoo, New York.
It's weird when you hear years, how close they are. You know, that was like around the corner. That was like, 100 years ago.
Human history, it was yesterday.
Yeah, 20th century. What's going on? So, with this, the film that you made, is it bringing a lot of awareness? Like, like people that are currently running the trips, the safaris, currently, have this film, will that bring a lot of awareness, you believe, to what's going on now with the current communities? Like you said, like people going, driving through villages and stuff like that.
I don't think the connection will necessarily be seen because this film that Mondo wrote, directed, produced is inspired by a photo again from 1958. So I honestly don't think people get the connection between what they're doing now. I mean, our hope is that the film, when we're able to continue to travel the film festival circuit and hopefully introduce it to the educational system.
Yes.
Our hope is that from elementary school to middle school to high schoolers, they'll begin to make a connection between, as Dr. Badajo said, if you take the humanity away, if you dehumanize a person, you can do anything to that person.
Yes.
So it's a jump from this photo that inspired the film, Volkerschau. It's a jump from there to 21st century hashtag Black Lives Matter. But it's not a big jump. Quick example, if we can get to high schoolers and get them to make the connection between why would you leave Michael Brown in the street for 4 hours uncovered? Regardless of what he did 5 hours ago, regardless of his actions 5 hours before, you left a human being in the street for 4 hours, uncovered, his mother a few feet away, witnessing this. You can do that if Michael Brown is less than human. So if we can bring Volkerschau into the educational system and get the kids to make the connection between, oh, that's why I was treated like an animal, et cetera, just the other night. And then if you can get the predators to see the connection, then maybe they can start to treat us more like human beings.
Exactly. Because there is that correlation of exhibitionism, like he was put on exhibit as amusement, and like, oh yeah, this is our trophy. We got him. You know, we got that animal. You know, which black men, black women, Hispanic men, Hispanic women, we can call animals. You know. So yeah, I definitely 100% see that correlation from history. It's like nothing was learned from the past. Because I never heard of human beings before. You know, I never heard.
So that's
of,
on purpose.
I mean,
it's not like.
Yeah, like I've heard of sideshows, freak shows, stuff like that. You know, like the bearded lady or the strong man and stuff like that. But I never heard of. Wow. You know.
One of the it's very difficult to dehumanize other people without dehumanizing yourself. And the educational piece then is very important because it shows the cycle in which people as a group then become engaged. It's not just Michael Brown laying on the ground, it is the people who are standing around protecting, who have to be desensitized to his humanity or to his mother crying. That there's a certain collective dehumanization that's never acknowledged. And when you have a system that supports that, it ends up on a very slippery slope itself. And one begins to see, as one of the films was showing, that we lose our sense of our cultural and our cultural depth. And part of that culture is not just the expression of it, but it's our sense of common humanity. And when you lose that, you lose just about it.
And that brings me back to something when you said education. Like there was a recent news article I looked at that had me concerned as a parent. Also, and a couple of my friends with the Texas textbooks in the schools.
Erasing history.
Yeah, where they said that slaves were immigrants and they worked as migrant workers. And they changed it on the websites. They won't recall the textbooks, and they said they'll put the correction in the next issue where it's like yeah, it is a correction, but it shouldn't be a correction. You know, it's
Whoever
history.
wrote- yeah.
It should be there like concrete.
Revisionist history.
Yeah. And it just goes into like a lot of things, like, you know, like for instance, this weekend's Columbus Day. Columbus Day weekend and all that stuff. And it's just like, you know, how much lost history there is and how much, like as you said, revisionist history and all that. And I really, really, really want to see your film get out there. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. You know, just like the year, you know, like you say, it goes down to that whole number thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because there is a relationship with numbers that we even have. Like, you know, like you always hear, like, especially, you know, a year or something happens. And like when they talk about disasters, like there's always that number attached to it and stuff like that. And it's like, wow, that's 100 years ago, like right around the corner, you know.
Even we formed a production company last year called Little Known Stories Productions, and that is our intent to dig underneath, you know,
Yeah.
to dig underneath the pages of the history books and excavate that which has been hidden and to bring it into the light. So there are several untold stories out there, and we just want to be the purveyors of some of those stories because we need to know. And as African Americans, we are historically an oral people, traditionally. And so if those stories are lost orally, they have to be captured somehow. So if we can capture them and speak with our elders and learn from them, and then in perpetuity put them in films, then, you know, we're ahead of the game. But right now, there is a danger of it being lost because, as you said, these textbooks, they're not even recalling them. So that to me, it's systemized, that is purposeful, and I think it's extremely dangerous because if it's Texas, then it's going to be other states.
Yes.
So something has got to be done, and we have got, as a collective, we cannot continue to move forward with eyes wide shut. We have got to be vigilant. We have got to be, to continue in the spirit of our forebears who were fiery civil rights activists and not let that die. Because there is I'm just afraid. It's extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
And that is very troublesome to me.
It is, definitely. So with this film, how long did it take you from the idea to research and everything like that? How long did it take you to make it?
Well, I saw the picture in March, and I was so moved. The script just unfurled like a scroll. Like I saw it. It was a scroll. It unrolled, and I didn't know anything about script writing. So I say that the order, right? To make this film came from something higher than me, outside of me, because how often do you see something upset you? You're like, oh, it just upset me. But this upset me to the point where I needed to move. And so, and I'm just blessed that I have a great team and people who get it and people who were supportive. I mean, just blessings just came from everywhere. So I'm just grateful for the opportunity to have been able to do it. And it's such a, to be able to give such a big message with what we call such a tiny film. You know, and primarily it is from a humanitarian standpoint. We just want, to all be human.
Yes.
Treat one another as we did when we were younger, and we say we don't learn racism, it's taught to us.
Yep.
So if we can just magnify the purity of children on a global scale. They looked at little girl, looked at the other little girl. Now you haven't seen it yet, but it's told from the point of view of 2 7-year-olds that we're all equal and we're all the same. We just have different complexions, but we have the same heart.
Wow. That's cool. So, and what, for people who have seen it and have not seen it and don't want to see it, what can people do not to get caught in their trap of, loss of humanity and basically being numb to people, like if someone sees something like that, like you said, like he was left there, like my friend was left there for 4 hours, and it's kind of so many people, like nobody covered them up or anything, and just something might happen tomorrow where there's another person on the street, like that. So I guess, how can we keep the humanity of us like that, I guess. Put it.
Let's see if I think that there is it's possible that there's a bit of a slow turnaround. The incidents that have happened over the last couple of years, I think there's slowly a turnaround because the closer it gets to home, the more incidents that happen to people that are similar. From Michael Brown to Eric Garner to Sandra Bland.
Yeah.
Freddie Gray here, right here in Baltimore.
Freddie Gray right here in Baltimore. The more Americans see that these things are happening to quote unquote normal everyday people, if it can happen to them, it can happen to you. The more Americans are speaking to the ills that are happening in society, because it's just becoming too commonplace, and they see that it's not happening to the other, it's happening to people like them.
Thank you.
So there's potentially a shift that can happen.
I think it's always happened. I think it's just being televised, if you will.
Yeah.
Right. And so, well, just speaking to the chef, Gil Scott-Heron said that this revolution will not be televised, and primarily he's just talking about a change of mindset. People have to change their minds, and you can't televise inside someone's mind. And this is directly from Gil Scott-Heron himself. So I think this shift, this zeitgeist towards love and all that, there is a movement. But I think it just, instead of being so disparate, it needs to be, and so polarized, then somehow we need to collectively, amass all that wonderful energy so that it touches everyone and not just certain people who get it.
And it's like the revolution being streamed because it's all over the internet.
Well,
Texas, the shootings, oh my God.
well, I think that we talk about a spiritual connection. I think many people, whether they acknowledge one group or another, understand fundamentally within themselves that you cannot continue to run a society like this. That there's something within the body politic that needs to be addressed. And as you were saying earlier, this little film with a great big message has the power to stimulate a conversation that acknowledges everybody's spiritual shift and everybody's need to look at one common humanity and figure out how to solve this problem, because it's not just speaking and saying we're all human beings, it's actually behaving like we're all human beings.
And I just want to say thank you for making a film that's gonna have a big impact. A very big impact. And again, tell us again the name of the film and how people can find you guys.
Okay, Volkerschau.
Volkerschau is the name of the film, and you can find us on Facebook, and you can like us on Facebook, and you can watch the behind the scenes on YouTube or Vimeo. Just Google Volkerschau, Volkerschau.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.